morning, everyone. We are Six Phase Studios. My name is CJ Legato.
I'm David Pierce.
And we are currently working on a game called Cubed. So to start, I'll just tell you a little bit about us. We are both rising juniors here at RPI. We are studying computer science as well as games and simulation arts and sciences. And we're both avid gamers. We've been playing video games for the majority of our lives, and we're really excited to be working on one of our own. So just to give you a quick overview of the game, Cubed is a single-player 3D puzzle action video game with a very minimalist style, like simple colors, simple shapes, and a very clean design. And has a very unique movement system where you can go on all the different sides of the levels, and you're not just restricted to the top of it. So why did we make this? Who cares? Well, it's a very unique game for the current market. Looking at other games that are out right now or come out over the past few years, there's really nothing super similar. So I'm sure some aspects, but we're kind of unique right now. We also have very simple mechanics but complex puzzles. In terms of what the player actually does, all the player has to do is move. But through our level design and being able to go on all the different sides of the level, it adds layers of complexity on top of that. Our game is also very easy to pick up and easy to put down. One thing that we found through our customer discovery is that most gamers today have one main game that they spend most of their time on. Usually it's like some online multiplayer game or something. And then they get other smaller single-player games to sort of supplement that and play in between sessions of their main game. And having a game that's like easy to pick up and play for 15 minutes and then switch off, we think is a real advantage and will be a big selling point for us. So just to give you a quick overview of the game, the game consists of very isolated levels. It's so slow, sorry about that. And the goal of each level is to just reach the end indicated by the blue lights. And like I said, you can navigate all the different sides of the level. You're not just restricted to the top of it. Throughout the game, you'll explore multiple worlds, each with its own sort of theme and aesthetic. And then what we want each world to have is a new mechanic. Example of mechanics that we have right now are void squares, which when you touch them, you have to start the level over, or buttons that change the layout of the level. And just adding complexity as you go on. Levels are also a mix of puzzle and action. Some levels you have to think about more, how are you supposed to reach the end, and then sometimes you know how to reach the end, but you need to do timing-based things in order to get there. So far we have a playable prototype. That's where all these pictures are from. You'll be able to play it after the J Building. We have 10 plus playtesters, people that we send the latest version of our game to, and they give us feedback on what works, what doesn't, if something's broken. That's very helpful. And we also competed at GameFest, which 11 teams from RPI entered, and only 5 were accepted to compete, and we were one of those teams. And although we didn't win anything while we were at GameFest, we got a lot of great feedback, and people were interested in knowing more about the game moving forward. So far we've had some great response. Going forward with the game, we need to make more levels and more mechanics. We have about 24 levels right now. We want to try and have at least 100 by the time we launch the game. We also want to do more polish, things like make sure everything has nice sound effects, and, make sure the menu's very clean, just things that a completed game should have. We also really want to have a narrative in our game. Narrative has been a common theme tonight. One thing that we noticed with most games like ours, the ones that were really successful, usually had some narrative element to it. So we plan on having something like a narrator, similar to the Stanley Parable or Thomas Was Alone, if any of you are familiar with those games. We also want to have either a level editor or downloadable levels post-launch, so that way we can keep giving people more content after we launch the game. Yeah. So we want to release our game for a price of around $5 to $10, and our goal is to release it on Steam within a year. And our goal is about 30,000 sales. This is just looking at other games similar to ours. And while our goal is 30,000, that's sort of our minimum. There have been games in the past similar to ours, such as Thomas Was Alone and Antechamber, that have done incredibly well, selling over 800,000 units and over 1 million units each. So looking ahead, again, we want to try and release Cubed within a year, and then release either a level editor or just more levels after, depending on which players want. And then should we meet our goal, we will try and release on other platforms, such as Xbox, PlayStation, as well as mobile. And then we will release either a sequel or a new game, depending on what our customers want. If they really want a sequel, we'll make one. But we also have plenty of great ideas that we would love to work on too. So yeah, if this seems interesting to you, feel free to follow us on all of our social media. We'll also be available at the J Building after if you want to try out our game and come talk to us. Yeah, any questions?
Okay, questions? So you got to get to the first 30,000 sales, which, okay, that seems to be the number for everyone. How do you get beyond 30,000 to the million? How do you make it viral?
Yeah, the thing with that is that for a game to go viral, you really need to be able to reach the whole market. And I think that's the main reason we want to add narrative too. Is something we notice that the games are very viral, usually have some sort of draw to them. And we noticed that like the games like Thomas Was Alone and Antechamber, the draw to them was sort of their whole story and their like style to them. And that's the reason we want to add a narrative. Because like while we thought that our game would be good for 30,000, we think adding a narrative would give it that potential to get, way more.
So it sounds like you're adding complexity, which kind of goes against one of your earlier points that you want to keep it simple, quick, so that people just kind of use your game kind of as a release or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
so it seems like it's contradictory.
Right. Well, yeah, the basic idea is that the levels are very short, and so while adding story would allow people to play for longer periods of time and really enjoy it, having the levels be very short also allows people to just hop in and just play a few levels, get a little bit of the narrator talking to you, and then move on to something else. So a combination of both the narrative allows for longer playtime, but the short levels allow you to just kind of feel like you accomplished something in a short period of time.
When it comes to puzzle games, narrative is definitely a challenge. One key is puzzle leads to replayability, right? Like you want people to replay. Doing narrative and replayability, then you lead to I've heard the story plenty of times situation. Do you have an idea on how to tackle that problem?
Yeah, we have a few ideas for you. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I got it. So we actually did talk about this before, and that is the way the levels are set up. We can easily separate them from the narrative in a certain way. So you complete a level, and this could just unlock that level in a separate part of the game where you just exit out, go to the menu, and then you can go to this level select, and you can just play through all the levels you previously played through if you want to. If that is what your question was asking, correct? Yeah, so it's another thing I can figure out.
Another thing that would also add some replayability is we want to make the narrator kind of like interactive in a way, like depending on how you complete the levels or things you do, what he says will change slightly. We only have like basic ideas of how to do that right now, but that's something we both think would be neat to add to that replayability again.
Back here, what did you learn from your aspirant companies there, the games, from their launch strategies?
It is incredibly important to have some sort of social media presence as well as all of the people that will play your game on places like YouTube and Twitch, because that just really gives you exposure and it makes people want to play your game. Without something like that, it's basically you can release your flagship game, but it'll just sink in the water because no one sees it. I don't know. That's about that. Is that good enough?
Hey guys, this looks really cool. I'm not a gamer, but let me ask a question about mobile versus console platform. I noticed you said you're going mobile a year after. Is that because of the complexity of moving into mobile? It just seems to me that mobile could be the real draw for this game,
Yeah.
with the single player, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I completely understand. Like the way it's styled, it totally looks like it would be excellent mobile, and I agree with that. But the problem is that for mobile, for a game to be successful, it needs to already be popular, and for it to already be popular, it needs to be successful. So there's a problem there. So we're going to try to. It's much easier to advertise and monetize for PC at the moment. So we're going to try to push it there, and if it gains traction, we can easily say, hey, we have a mobile port now. You can try out a maybe smaller version of the game there.
All right, let's thank Six Base.